is one of, I don't want to say the number, it's countless numbers. Every night I get an update on this of the threats to our federal money on everything we do. Because look, right now it's very clear. The entire federal government is weaponized against Minnesota. And the issues of things that should be states' rights, states to control, they're threatening us with this. And this is what happens when you have a floundering presidency and it is about those ballrooms and everything else. Now we're back on transgender folks, and these are healthcare providers providing the best guidance to parents and children to get their care. So we're assessing what it means. It's on every front. It's CDLs, it's transportation money, it's money across the board that they have weaponized. So.
Hello, Patriots. Welcome back to Harlan Reports. I'm Harlan, and I am honored to be your voice for truth, common sense, and the American way. We have a breaking story tonight that is going to shake you to your very core. It is New Year's Eve, December 31st, 2025. You are probably getting ready to hug your loved ones and ring in a new year of hope. But before we celebrate, we have to talk about something that just happened. Something that shows us exactly who is fighting for us and who is trying to trick us. This is the story the mainstream media is too scared to touch. But we aren't scared. We are going to tell it like it is.
Hello, I'm HHS Deputy Secretary Jim O'Neill. I'm here with Assistant Secretary Alex Adams. Alex oversees the Administration for Children and Families. Intrepid journalists have made shocking and credible allegations of extensive fraud in Minnesota's child care programs. We believe the state of Minnesota has allowed scammers and fake daycares to siphon millions of taxpayer dollars over the past decade.
My office, ACF, provides Minnesota $185 million in child care funds each year. That money should be helping 19,000 American children, including toddlers and infants. Any dollar stolen by fraudsters is stolen from those children. Yesterday, I spoke directly with the director of the Minnesota Child Care Services Office. She could not tell me with confidence whether those allegations of fraud are isolated or whether there's fraud stretching statewide.
Today, we have taken 3 direct actions against the blatant fraud that seems to be rampant in Minnesota. First, I have activated our Defend the Spend system for all ACF child care payments across America. Starting today, we require a justification, receipt, or photo evidence before we make a payment. Second, I have just signed and sent a demand letter to Governor Walz. I required a full 360 review of these centers. This includes attendance records, licenses, complaints, investigations, and inspections.
And third, we've launched a dedicated fraud reporting hotline and email address at childcare.gov. Whether you're a parent, a provider, a member of the public, we want to hear from you. Let me be crystal clear. ACF expects every state to uphold the highest standards of oversight, monitoring, and accountability for federal dollars. Minnesota is no exception.
We're committed to holding bad actors accountable. Regardless of rank or office, anyone who's involved in perpetrating this fraud against the American people should expect to be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law.
Produced by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Folks, grab your coffee and sit tight because we are breaking this story wide open right now. Just minutes ago, the news hit like a thunderclap. It was supposed to be a quiet holiday, but Governor Tim Walz decided today was the day to play games. He thought he could score some cheap points. He came out swinging, attacking President Donald J. Trump for freezing federal child care money sent to Minnesota. Walz went on every screen he could find, whining and crying that the president was hurting kids. He said it was mean. He said it was unfair. He tried to make you believe that he was the hero protecting the children, and that President Trump was the villain. Oh boy, did that backfire fast. Walz walked right into a trap of his own making. He thought he could fool you. He thought he could use sad stories to hide the ugly truth. But he forgot one thing. President Trump doesn't play by the old rules. He doesn't let lies stand. When someone attacks him with nonsense, he doesn't just defend himself, he brings the receipts. And let me tell you, the truth that just came out is enough to break your heart. President Trump didn't just freeze that money for no reason. He froze it because he cares too much to let it be stolen. In a flash, the administration released the cold, hard facts that Walz was trying to hide. Under the governor's watch, billions of dollars, money meant to feed hungry babies and help working moms, was slipping away. It wasn't going to the kids. It was vanishing. We are talking about massive fraud. We are talking about bad actors setting up fake daycares that looked real on paper but were empty inside. Imagine that for a second. Picture a building with a sign out front that says daycare, but inside, there are no toys on the floor, no laughter, no children playing tag or learning their ABCs. It's just an empty room. But on paper, That empty room was claiming millions of your tax dollars, money that you worked hard for, money that was supposed to help your neighbor buy milk or pay for a safe place for their child while they worked a double shift. Instead, it was flowing into the pockets of fraudsters. President Trump saw this. He saw the theft, and he said no more. He stopped the money to stop the crime. And now, the silence from Walz is deafening. But this is just the beginning. You won't believe what we found out next.
Human Services Department has also announced we are cutting off all child care funding to the state of Minnesota until we get to the bottom of this fraud. The Department of Labor is investigating their unemployment insurance program. The Department of USDA Agriculture Secretary Rollins weeks ago sent a letter to Governor Walz demanding he turn over every single name of SNAP recipients on the books in Minnesota. And the Minnesota Attorney General actually sued the Trump administration for that. What are they hiding? Our entire administration is working around the clock to get to the bottom of it, and President Trump is not going to let Governor Walz off the hook.
You need to understand exactly what President Trump found, because it is enough to make you sick to your stomach. We are not talking about a simple mistake. We aren't talking about someone losing a receipt. We are talking about ghost daycares. That is what the investigators are calling them. These are places that existed only on paper, on the form sent to the government. They claim to be feeding thousands of children every single day. They claim to be safe havens where moms and dads could leave their little ones while they went to work. But when you actually went to the address, when you drove down the street and looked in the window, darkness. There were no toys, there were no cribs, there were no But do you know what was there? A mailbox that was getting filled with checks from the government, checks that you paid for. While American families were skipping meals to pay their taxes, these fraudsters were laughing all the way to the bank. And where did that money go? The reports coming out now, the ones President Trump is shining a light on, are terrifying. They allege that this cash didn't just buy nice cars or big houses. It allegedly flowed directly into the hands of organized gangs. The reports say massive amounts of money went to Somali gangs who gamed the system, taking advantage of kindness to steal from our future. It breaks your heart. Imagine a little boy in a rural town, his stomach rumbling because his mom can afford a school lunch. Now imagine a criminal driving a luxury car, bought with the money meant for that little boy's sandwich. That is the reality Governor Walz let happen. That is the reality the mainstream media wants you to ignore. They want you to look away. They want you to think it's mean to ask questions. But President Trump, he looked right at it. He saw the empty rooms, he saw the missing money, and he saw the children who were being left behind. He didn't just freeze the cash to be tough. He did it because he refuses to let one more dime go to a criminal enterprise. While an American child goes hungry, he stood up and said that our generosity is for our neighbors, for our families, and for our kids, not for gangs. It takes a father's heart to protect the innocent like that. It takes a true leader to say stop, when everyone else is too scared to speak. And right now, as the truth comes out, you can see why Walz is hiding. He knows he got caught. He knows the jig is up. But for the families who were cheated, the pain is just hitting home. And folks, it only gets worse from here.
Put it in the national spotlight.
There's no one here right now. It's midday on a weekday.
He came, I think it was 11 a.m. Obviously, there's no cars in the parking lot. We're not open today. The sign on the door says that.
Today, the business has a new sign with the correct spelling for learning.
Hello, ma'am. How are you?
Federal agents are on the ground while Minnesota's Department of Human Services tells Fox News it has 55 active investigations of its own involving child care centers, including those highlighted in the viral video.
None of those investigations uncovered findings of fraud. Regardless of past findings, our team is just committed to making sure that we address any of the concerns that currently have appeared with the video.
Fraud at daycare centers in the Twin Cities has been the subject of scrutiny for more than a decade. This newly resurfaced video from a 2015 case in Hennepin County shows parents walking their kids into a daycare and then walking out with their children minutes later, while the business was charging the government and allegedly giving parents envelopes filled with cash as a purported payback. While Governor Tim Walz says he's now taking steps to address the fraud, state Republican lawmakers say it's too little too late.
He has had 7 years, and fraud under his administration has exploded. It is time for fraud in the state of Minnesota to end now.
Just this past hour, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services announced it has frozen all child care payments to the state of Minnesota in light of the massive fraud allegations at federally funded child care centers. Brett?
Friends, I want you to close your eyes for a moment. I want you to picture a kitchen table in a small apartment right here, in the heartland. It's late at night, the kids are asleep, a mom and dad are sitting there with a stack of bills. They are tired. Their hands are rough from working all day. They are trying to figure out how to pay for childcare so they can keep their jobs. They are counting every single penny. They skip their own meals just so their little girl can have a safe place to go during the day. They trust their government to help. They trust that the taxes they pay are going to good use. Now, open your eyes and look at the truth President Trump just exposed. While that family was crying over bills, the fraudsters were celebrating. The reports coming out of the White House today show that this wasn't just a little bit of money. It was a river of cash, and it wasn't going to that tired mom and dad. It was allegedly flowing to people who despise our laws. We are hearing stories of suitcases filled with cash. We are hearing about millions of dollars being sent overseas or used to buy luxury cars and vacations, all while Minnesota children went without. It is the ultimate betrayal. Governor Walz told you he was the education governor. He told you he cared about the kids, but under his nose, a massive scheme was stealing the future right out from under us. These gangs didn't care about your children. To them, your children were just numbers on a spreadsheet they used to rob the bank. They looked at our generosity, the American spirit of helping those in need, and they saw it as a weakness to be exploited. They laughed at us. They laughed at the laws, and they thought no one would ever stop them. But they didn't count on Donald Trump. When the president saw the evidence, he didn't call for a study. He didn't ask for a committee. He got angry. He got angry for you. He got angry for that mom and dad at the kitchen table. He saw the theft and he slammed the door shut. He said, "Not on my watch." By freezing those funds, he stopped the robbery in its tracks. He put a shield in front of the American taxpayer. It takes a lot of courage to do that. The media will call him mean, the politicians will scream, but President Trump knows the truth. The only way to truly help the children is to stop the criminals who are stealing their lunch money. And folks, as we peel back the layers of this onion, you're going to see just how deep the rot goes. Stick with me. Folks, if your blood wasn't boiling before, it's about to get a whole lot hotter. We need to talk about where that money actually went, because when President Trump's team started digging, they didn't find receipts for milk or diapers. They didn't find bills for heating schoolrooms or paying teachers. What they found is an insult to every hard-working American who follows the rules. They found a lifestyle of luxury that was paid for by your sweat and tears. While you were deciding which bill to pay late so you could afford groceries, these fraudsters were allegedly living like kings. The reports released by the administration show millions of dollars siphoned off to buy fancy sports cars. We are talking about brand new luxury SUVs parked in driveways of houses bought with stolen cash. We are talking about lavish vacations to tropical resorts, first-class plane tickets, and designer clothes. Think about that. Picture a fraudster laughing and drinking expensive juice on a beach, all paid for by a program that was supposed to feed a hungry child in Minneapolis. It makes you want to scream, doesn't it? That was your family vacation they took. That was your new car they drove. That was the money for your child's future, burned up in a bonfire of greed. And do you know who let this happen? The people in charge. The people like Governor Walz who claimed to be watching the store. They sat back and let the fox into the henhouse. They didn't just leave the door unlocked, they held it open. They were so worried about being politically correct that they were afraid to ask the hard questions. They were afraid to check the IDs. They were afraid to say no. But President Trump, he isn't afraid of anything. He looked at those receipts, the cars, the trips, the waste, and he felt the same anger you do right now. He knows what it's like to build something. He knows the value of $1. And he knows that stealing from the poor to give to the corrupt is the lowest thing a person I can do. When he froze those payments, he wasn't just stopping a check. He was ripping up their credit card. He was telling them the party is over. He cut off the fuel to their joyride. And that is why they are so mad at him. That is why Walz is panicking. Because without your money to steal, their house of cards comes crashing down. And President Trump is the one who finally pulled the plug. But wait until you hear how deep the cover-up goes. You might be asking yourself, Harlan, how on earth did this go on for so long? How did billions of dollars just disappear without anyone screaming for help? The answer is the saddest part of this whole story. It wasn't just that the fraudsters were good at hiding. It was that the people in charge were too scared to look. We live in a world where some politicians are more afraid of being called mean than they are of being robbed. For years, there were whispers. Honest social workers saw things that didn't add up. They saw enrollment numbers that were impossibly high. They saw paperwork that looked like it was copied and pasted, but when they tried to speak up, they were told to hush. They were told don't rock the boat. They were told that asking questions about where the money was going might look bad. They were terrified that if they investigated these specific groups, the media would call them names. So they looked away. They built a wall of silence, and behind that wall, the theft grew bigger and bigger. It's like a parent who sees their child hanging out with a bad crowd, but is too afraid to say no because they want to be the cool parent. But being cool doesn't keep your kids safe. And being politically correct didn't feed a single hungry child in Minnesota. In fact, it took the food right out of their mouths. Governor Walz and his team let this happen because they cared more about their image than your reality. They wanted to look like the nice guys. But there is nothing nice about letting gangs steal from the poor. There is nothing kind about letting a system rot from the inside out. Then came President Trump. He doesn't care about the whispers. He doesn't care if the media calls him names. He cares about the truth. He looked at that wall of silence and he took a sledgehammer to it. He said, I don't care who you are. I don't care where you come from. If you steal from American children, we are coming for you. He shattered the fear that held everyone back. He gave the honest workers permission to finally tell the truth. And now that the wall is down, the light is pouring in and the rats are scurrying. But friends, where they were hiding will shock you even more. Stay tuned. Friends, I need you to take a deep breath because what I am about to tell you is the hardest part of this entire story. It is the part that keeps me up at night. We talked about the fake daycares. We talked about the fancy cars. But the investigators are now revealing something much more dangerous. They are following the money trail, and it doesn't just end at a luxury car dealership. It leads out of our country. The reports that President Trump's team is uncovering suggest that this wasn't just a few bad apples stealing lunch money. This looks like a massive, organized pipeline. We are hearing allegations that millions of your tax dollars, money meant of American children, were funneled into the hands of organized Somali gangs. These groups allegedly saw our kindness as a weakness. They saw a governor who was asleep at the wheel, and they backed up the truck. Think about the sheer betrayal of that. We open our hearts, we open our wallets, we say, here is money to feed the hungry, and instead of feeding a child, that money is allegedly being packed into suitcases and sent overseas. It is being used to fund groups that do not love our country. It is being used to make criminals stronger while our own neighborhoods get weaker. It makes you feel sick, doesn't it? It makes you feel used. You work hard, you follow the rules, you teach your kids to be honest. And meanwhile, under the watchful eye of the Walz administration, a massive criminal ring was reportedly treating the United States Treasury like their own personal ATM. They were laughing at us. They were laughing at you. But the laughter stopped today. When President Trump looked at these reports, he didn't just see numbers. He saw a threat to our national security. He saw a pipeline that had to be smashed. He understands that you cannot have a strong country if you let gangs rob the people blind. He froze those payments because he knows that every dollar sent to a fraudster is a dollar taken from a patriot. He is standing in the breach, stopping the flow of cash to bad actors and demanding that every single penny is accounted for. He is the only one brave enough to turn off the spigot and say, America first means American money stays with American families and folks. The stories of the victims who were left behind will tear your heart out. That is coming up next. Friends, I want to take you away from the big numbers and the scary gangs for a minute. I want to take you into a small living room in St. Cloud. I want to tell you about a woman named Sarah. Sarah is a patriot. She loves her country. She works hard at a diner, pouring coffee for truckers and farmers, standing on her feet for 10 hours a day. She has a beautiful 4-year-old daughter named Lily. Lily loves to color and wants to be a doctor when she grows up. Earlier this year, Sarah went to the county office. She needed a little bit of help with childcare so she could pick up extra shifts. She wanted to save money to buy Lily a real winter coat and maybe, just maybe, a bicycle for Christmas. Sarah filled out all the paperwork. She brought her pay stubs. She waited in line. And do you know what she was told? She was told, I'm sorry, the funds are low. There is a waiting list. Sarah went home and cried. She had to turn down those extra shifts. She couldn't afford the daycare bill on her own. So, there was no bicycle for Lily. There was just a lot of worry and a cold winter. Now, look at the news breaking today. We now know why the funds were low. It wasn't because too many moms like Sarah needed help. It was because criminals were inventing children who didn't exist. While Sarah was being turned away, fraudsters were claiming money for ghost children in empty buildings. They took the spot that belonged to Lily. They took the money that belonged to Sarah. They stole the bicycle right out from under a Christmas tree. It breaks your heart into a million pieces to To think that a hard-working American mom was told no so that a gang member could say yes to a new luxury car. It is the ultimate cruelty. But this is why we love President Trump. He doesn't just look at the budget. He looks at the empty chairs at the dinner table. He felt the pain of moms like Sarah. When he froze those corrupt payments, he was fighting for her. He was saying, I will not let them steal from Sarah anymore. He is standing guard over the American family, ensuring that help goes to the people who build this country, not the people who are trying to destroy it. And let me tell you, the reckoning that is coming for those thieves is going to be something to behold. The cleanup has only just begun. Folks, wipe your tears for a moment, because I want you to see what is happening right now. For the first time in a long, long time, the bad guys are losing. You can feel it in the air, can you? It's the feeling of justice finally coming home. When President Trump froze those funds, it wasn't just a pause button, it was a rescue mission. Imagine a ship that was sinking because pirates were drilling holes in the bottom. Governor Walz was on the deck, playing music and pretending everything was fine. But President Trump, he dove into the water, he plugged the holes, he stopped the ship from going under. Right now, as we speak, that money, billions of dollars, is sitting safe. It isn't flying overseas to people who hate us. It isn't buying another luxury car for a gang leader. It is sitting in the U.S. Treasury, protected by the President of the United States. He put a lock on the vault, and he threw away the key until he can be sure, 100% sure, that every penny goes to a real American child. Think about what that means for Sarah, the waitress we talked about. It means there is hope. It means that when the system is cleaned up, and believe me, Trump is scrubbing it clean, there will actually be resources for her. It means her hard work isn't being mocked anymore. The ghost children are gone, the fake numbers are being erased, and the truth is taking their place. This is the turning of the tide. For years, we watched politicians like Walz let our country be taken advantage of. We watched them put political correctness above our safety. We felt helpless, like no one was listening to our screams. But today proves that someone was listening. President Trump heard you. He saw the injustice that was happening in Minnesota, and he didn't wait for a poll to tell him what to do. He acted. He used the power of the presidency to be a shield for the innocent and a sword against the corrupt. That is what a real leader does. He doesn't just talk, he protects. And because of him, we are entering 2026 not as victims, but as victors. The theft has stopped. The drain is plugged, and now we get to But before we get to the beautiful future awaiting us, there is one last thing you need to know about the heart of this man. Friends, I want to take a moment to look past the politics and talk about the heart of the man sitting in the Oval Office. The mainstream media wants you to believe that Donald Trump is doing this to be mean. They want you to think he froze those funds because he doesn't care. But if you look at what happened today with clear eyes, you see the exact opposite. You see a man who cares so deeply that he refuses to let a single child be used as a pawn in a criminal's game. Think about the weight on his shoulders. He could be relaxing. He has already achieved everything a man could want. He could be playing golf at Mar-a-Lago, enjoying his golden years with his beautiful grandchildren. But he isn't. He is in the White House on New Year's Eve, fighting a battle against massive, entrenched corruption. Why? Because he looks at the children of Minnesota, children he has never met, and he sees his own grandkids. He sees the future of this country, and he loves America too much to let it be robbed. I get emotional just thinking about it. We have gone so long feeling like our leaders in Washington didn't even know we existed. We felt like we were just tax cattle to them, people to be sheared so they could fund their crazy schemes and look the other way while gangs took over. But today, President Trump proved that he sees you. He sees Sarah in the diner. He sees the mom working 2 jobs. He sees the dad driving the truck, and he is telling you, I've got your back. When he stopped that money, he wasn't taking food away from kids. He was ensuring that the food actually gets to them in the future. He was clearing out the weeds so the garden could grow again. It is an act of fierce love. It is the actions of a father protecting his home. And let me tell you, that feeling of safety, that feeling that someone is finally standing guard at the door, it is the greatest gift we could ask for going into 2026. We aren't alone anymore. We have a champion who isn't afraid of the media, who isn't afraid of the gangs, and who will stop at nothing to make sure that the American dream is safe for your children and mine. We are almost to the end of this broadcast, and I have one last message that will send you into the new year with a heart full of joy. You won't want to miss this conclusion. And that brings us to the final message I have for you tonight. Folks, we have talked about the darkness. We have talked about the theft, but I want to leave you with the light, because that is what President Trump has given us today. He didn't just stop a crime, He restored our faith. As the clock ticks down to midnight and we get ready to welcome 2026, I want you to feel the change in the air. For the first time in so long, we are entering a new year with a government that actually works for us. The days of looking the other way are over. The days of politicians selling us out for a quick buck are done. We are standing on the threshold of a new era, a golden age where the American family is the king of the castle again. Imagine what 2026 is going to look like now, because the leak has been plugged. Billions of dollars are going to stay right here. That money will build real schools. It will help real families. It will make our communities strong and safe again. You can sleep soundly tonight knowing that the man in the White House is awake, guarding the door. You can hug your children a little tighter knowing that their future isn't being stolen anymore. We are watching a nation heal in real time. We are watching the return of common sense, of law and order, and of simple, honest patriotism. It is a beautiful thing to witness. We are no longer the forgotten men and women. We are the remembered. We are the priority, and we are winning. So, dry those tears of frustration and let them be tears of joy. We have a leader who loves this country more than life itself. We have a movement that is stronger than any lie the media can tell. And we have each other. We are one big American family, united under one flag, marching forward into a future that is brighter than we ever dared to dream. Thank you for being here with me tonight. Thank you for caring enough to listen to the truth. Let's make 2026 the greatest year in the history of our republic. God bless you. God bless President Trump, and God bless the United States of America. If you want to keep hearing the truth that the others won't tell you, please hit that subscribe button right now. Smash that like button to help us spread this message to every patriot in the country. We are in this together, and I will see you in the new year. Harlan out.